when Time magazine offered to place to America and the world the man that was most influential this year, they put the picture of Barack Hussein Obama, but he is only a puppet. It should have been George Soros, who was a Hungarian Jew born in 1930 in Hungary and has migrated through England, attending school in London, and finally making his home here in America. And in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, making a ton of money in the investment market, at one time banking against the overvalued pound sterling in England, and made 1.1 billion American dollars in that one investment enterprise alone, and has gone on to increase that $1.1 billion investment to a massive monetary fund that he has now, and being a leader in the hedge funds market going back a decade ago as well. He has become a very wealthy man, while at the same time has been influenced after watching his father and others suffer when Nazi Germany, Hitler's army, moved into Hungary, and also having once spent some time in communist Russia, became very influenced by the philosopher Karl Popper and his open society idea of a global society of freedom of choice, freedom of financial access, and a number of other very socialist ideas that were touted by Popper. But in the meantime, while being influenced by Karl Popper, the philosopher, George Soros was also able to amass a fortune through the investment procedures, and continues to grow wealthier right now as I speak unto you, but has used a large part of his money to educate and to promote education and scholarships to students in South Africa during the apartheid regime. That's Zulu students and black students were able to go to the universities in Cape Town, was able to wire up a number of universities in Russia with the internet capabilities. When you hear President-elect Barack Hussein Obama talking about this kind of making sure that every area and district has internet capabilities, that idea comes from George Soros. Now, of course, I'm a fierce opponent of George Soros. Let me quickly say that. I believe he's a very evil man. I believe he has world domination at heart, and he will use any puppet that he can find. And when he saw the charism of Barack Hussein Obama, he put his millions to work to oust Hillary Clinton, starting with the Iowa caucus, right up until the day of the credentials hearing in April in Washington, D.C., that all of his funding and influence of business persons and politicians to abdicate support for Hillary Clinton. And I believe he was even able to donate to Bill Clinton and cause Bill Clinton to get weaker in his support for his wife, or more abrasive in his support, so it would seem that he was in conflict with sympathy towards the African American people, therefore deemed a racist and being a liability to Hillary Clinton during the process of the primary. Now we want to cross-distinguish George Soros with George Washington, who we consider to be the founding father of America, the first president of America. While America had been a nation of colonies under the rule of England for over 150 years, but it was after several years and decades of British rule and taxation without appropriate representation and scrimmages and conflicts that the American Revolution was born and formed, and George Washington became the leading general of all of the armed revolutionary forces that fought against the redcoats during the Revolutionary War here in America that went on for several years until finally the war was won, with George Washington then being crowned the first president of America. But we want to establish that it was America's desire to throw off the taxation principles of King George of England and its principles of continuing to colonize without Americans being able to be a free and noble nation. And it was the tyranny of taxation that caused this great nation to spout up as it is. And so we're contrasting these two men, George Washington and George Soros, here tonight in the Manning Report, to let you see that George Soros has a global idea, and he has the money to buy off everyone that will be integral into loosening America's present Judeo-Christian belief and establish what he has written about, and his foundation stands for an open society, and is well on his way to doing this in accomplishing, fueling, and feeding more than $600 million to the Obama campaign, an unprecedented amount of money that was donated to Obama through the George Soros mechanism. George Soros first began to demonstrate his political beliefs and his strengths in politics in the year 2002, when he stated that George Bush was perhaps the most vile person on the planet and needed to be annihilated, needed to be removed from office. And in the 2004 election, George Soros donated $15 million to individual groups that were working to overthrow the Bush administration and the 2004 election. They were not successful, but he came back with a vengeance and finding Barack Hussein Obama as a candidate that he could ply his ideas through, and he could fund, and was able to successfully bring Obama to the platform where he presently stands at. But it's George Soros that is behind the power move. Now, Soros is a generous man. He has more wealth than anyone can really account for, and has been very generous with that wealth, and was able to filter the kind of money, as we stated before. More specifically, is now that there is a high possibility of an Obama presidency, will begin to filter more of that money to use, to influence, to turn America in on itself. It needs to be absolutely clear that what has happened in this most recent election is that the Hollywood presentation of Barack Hussein Obama by NBC, ABC, CBN, MSNBC, the Times of every sort, and newspaper and magazine, presented to us the Hollywood version, a scripted version of what our president would be like, and the things that were sore and ill about our nation that could be cured with the stroke of a vote for Barack Hussein Obama. The Manning Report at this present time wishes everyone to know that the Manning Report wishes to claim that, unlike the Man of the Year, a title of praise, the Manning Report wishes in this last broadcast tonight and going forward in the future, wishes to announce that George Soros is the villain of the year. We'll see what happens in the year 2009. While Barack Hussein Obama is certainly an emissary of the devil, that devil could very well be George Soros, and surely Barack Hussein Obama is his emissary. And it needs to be absolutely clear to every mind that will hear me that Barack Hussein Obama does not think for himself. He does not speak for himself. He does not act for himself. There was a colossal divide between Michelle Obama and Barack Hussein Obama, and it happened about mid-primary, where George Soros made the determination that Michelle Obama was not good for Barack Hussein Obama, and using his muscle shut her down completely. You don't see anything about her now, and you very well will not see very much of her in the White House. Indeed, there may be a spiritual marital rift now between Michelle Obama and Barack Hussein Obama, inasmuch as that George Soros does not deem her idealistic, and she does not support the ideas of his idea of an open society and a socialist planet that he want to put in place. However, I wish to serve notice on Mr. George Soros. Dr. James David Manning, prophet of the Lord and priest of this generation, will stop you and will stop Barack Hussein Obama.